What's going on, everyone? I'm Travis Brown with the Eagle alongside sports editor Robert Cessna here in the Eagle newsroom as Texas A&M gears up for the second to last Southwest Classic against Arkansas up at AT&T Stadium. Cease, what's just kind of your initial thoughts on this game and the fact that it's only two more trips up to Dallas?
Well, a couple things. A couple weeks ago, Travis, I was looking at this matchup and I'm thinking I give A&M a big edge because the way Wegman and the offense was coming along, and then the flip side, Arkansas was coming off that bad home loss to BYU, which they didn't play well. Now, you talk about how quickly things can change because I'm thinking, yeah, it's a rivalry game, but A&M has kind of owned them. So suddenly, the first two shockers, obviously Wegman is out for the year, and I was shocked at how well Arkansas played at LSU. And I always like to think it's hard for a team to gain some kind of confidence off a loss, but I would think that Arkansas has to feel awful good about how well they played in Death Valley. So answer your question a long way. A lot of things have happened in 7 days.
Yeah, exactly. Let's start with the first thing you mentioned there, and it's the biggest story. Connor Wegman this week ruled that he is out for the season. They said they went and got initial x-rays. Those were negative. They got an MRI. That was negative. As kind of the swelling went down, Connor Wegman had some pain that they couldn't really explain still, so they went and had a CAT scan, and that's where they saw the damage to the bone in the right foot ankle area. That's going to need surgery and going to put them out for the remainder of the season. So it's Max Johnson's time to step up. It's a role he's been in several times in his career. What is your confidence level with this Aggie offense with Max Johnson at the helm instead of Connor Wegman?
Well, I don't think a lot of things changed. Number one, Connor Wegman, a lot of people were saying by the end of the year, this guy might be the top 1 or 2, 3 quarterbacks in the SEC. I'm not saying that might not happen, but he was struggling mightily in the first half against Auburn. He didn't look himself. And that happens sometimes, particularly when you're only a redshirt sophomore making 7 or 8 starts. So, it's hard to anoint a kid king that's 16 years old sometimes. So that being said I wasn't sold that because I wasn't people saying anything about Haynes King, and I don't want to disparage either guy, so to speak. But until you do it, you haven't done it. And the good thing is Johnson's done a lot in quality competition, which the Aggies saw firsthand when he was at LSU. But now there's a lot of things I wonder. He threw that such a great pass, for the touchdown. But then I'm asking, are they going to alter the playbook a little bit because you don't have that quality backup guy? Does that come into your mind, or is it, scramble when you can? A&M suddenly had a bad luck with quarterbacks health-wise. So, and I think the initial reaction, oh, no, we're going to call the game if you ask Jimbo, whatever. But in the back of mind, it has to be on your mind that one snap, they're putting in a guy that I don't even know. I have to look up his name again. He's a transfer, and suddenly you could be up in AT&T Stadium, packed house, and for whatever reason, if he just has pulls up lame for something and just has to go out for a series, what are Aggies going to think? Because they don't even know who their quarterback's going to be.
Right. I think that the things that you could maybe knock Max Johnson on last year was his ability to get through the progressions and realize, hey, I need to just tuck it and run here and pick up some yards. He hung in the pocket for a long time, took some sacks. But especially the thing was the deep ball. If you look at his pass chart from last season, it was all within 10 yards and over the middle, basically, and not a whole lot of outside, not a whole lot of deep. What made me feel better about this offense with Max Johnson is, and you mentioned it, that touchdown throw of over 30 yards to Evan Stewart right down the middle, just perfectly laid into his arms over two defenders, kind of a safety running it over. We never saw that from Max Johnson last year, and I think that that's a good sign that they still will be able to stretch the defense if they can with Max Johnson's arm, and it's not just 10-yard dinks and dunks here and there.
And I think a lot of Aggies are concerned a problem could be, or potential is, the same offensive line that at times could not block for Wegman not be also blocked for Johnson. And once again, it gets back to the offensive line, because why is Arkansas, their problems goes back, they have a new offensive line as well. They had to revamp it. A lot of injuries they're doing as well. So we see two teams that we're talking about the quarterbacks, and rightfully so, because KJ Jefferson is one of the best dual threats in the country. but it might come down to which team wins has the best offensive line.
That's what I've said all season about A&M, and I think there's no better case than this game, because it really was. It was Layden Robinson not shifting over onto his man that the delayed blitz got through, and that's how Connor Wegman got hurt. It will be interesting to see how those offensive lines play. You mentioned KJ Jefferson. This is the first time this season that A&M has seen a dual threat of his skill set. Now, I know there's not that many KJ Jeffersons around the country to begin with, but the ability to pass it efficiently and run the ball and have the strength and size that he has. Last year, A&M didn't really handle the dual threat quarterbacks well at times. What do you think the A&M defense's chances are? How do you think the A&M defense stacks up against this against KJ Jefferson this year, having not seen this kind of quarterback this year?
Yeah, I don't want to change. I don't want to chase our viewers away, but I can't answer that, because you're right. They haven't placed anybody, and KJ Jefferson's very good. And I think it gets back to this: A&M's got to limit the big plays, because when they lost 2 years ago, he made big plays with his arm and legs, and he made big plays last year by screwing up, because they should have won the game. If he plays the game like he did in 2021, they'd be on a 2-game winning streak right now. So he's got a little bit of a revenge factor. And then I'm thinking A&M's got a freshman linebacker, York, that's played well, but he hasn't played anybody to that caliber yet, nor has he played anybody in 12-6A that was that good when he was at Temple. And then we've seen that I think Edwin Cooper is very improved from last year, but once again, he hasn't faced this quality of a quarterback. Too many times last year, I thought he was out of position. So Jefferson's the kind of guy, if you're out of position, it's going to be a 25-yard run or maybe even a 35-yard pass completion. So, so much that we don't know, that I think we're all excited about the game, because the winner of this game is going to feel real good in a lot of ways, but I like the matchups, because to me they're a little bit unknowns. I wouldn't bet $1 on anything that we said so far, because
right.
I'm with you. I like Johnson a lot, but it's just not him. If he doesn't get blocking, I don't care if he's right-handed or left-handed.
Well, and tackling, because so much of what plagued them against Miami was tackling, especially on the outsides of the defense. And if KJ Jefferson gets around the outside, it's not going to be like anything that they saw against Miami. That's a big guy that you're going to have to bring down. No arm tackles are gonna, or shoulder tackles are going to work against him. I think A&M's ability to contain him in the pocket and tackle is going to be huge. And they have a good amount of receivers. There's a chance Rocket Sanders, their standout running back, could be back. Might be one of the more. Miami is a great team, and they could win the ACC. But save from Miami, it's going to be the most complete offense they've seen so far. I just have a lot of question marks about A&M's defense.
And I've got a lot of things to look at as far as looking at emotion both sides, because you touched on a little bit. I feel Arkansas felt they gave this game away. So last year. So the guys coming back won a tone, led by Jefferson. So they come in here, they've lost 11 out of 12. They got a chip on their shoulders. And we see a lot of weeks when Damani Richardson and Anaya Smith, great guys, great leaders, but how much do you get up now? Smith got hurt this game last year, so I think it's a little bit personal. But for the upperclassmen, how do you get up for a team you beat 11 out of 12 times? So I think Arkansas is going to have a little edge there. But what I like to see is Johnson's got the keys to the car. Okay, he's wanted to drive that car full time since he got here. He got it last year, and he didn't know if he's going to have it for a long time. Even when in that third game when he broke his hand, there was no guarantee he was going to be the quarterback in 3 or 4 games. I think the job is his, and he wants it. So what's he going to do? I'm very anxious to see what he does. I'm anxious to see how Arkansas comes out. As I said, just 3 minutes ago, there's a lot of things I don't know that I'm excited to see how it plays out.
Another one to look out for too is, for me at least, is Le'Veon Moss, a guy who seems to maybe be slowly separating himself from the pack with his ability to have size and speed there. We've said it on podcasts before. I think Reuben Owens is going to be the best running back out of that group. But this season, with the development he has in his strength, Le'Veon Moss might be the guy to separate. I'll be curious to see how much they use him, especially with Max Johnson, whatever, if it's going to be a different game plan, different look, what that's going to factor in. So we'll end it off with this. I know we usually do this earlier in the week. Of course, everything is crazy, and so we could just get it done here late Thursday. So our prog picks are already out, which is not something that usually happens. You took A&M, I took Arkansas. Why'd you take A&M?
Just because they have won those games 11 out of 12 years, and Arkansas found a way to lose that game. Going back to Brett Bielema, and actually I thought maybe Sam Pittman had changed that when he won the game. That was a great win. Last year, they outplayed A&M except for Damani Richardson's return, the screw-ups by Jefferson. So I thought Arkansas maybe got over that hump, because if you're going in with a 2-game winning streak, but I think A&M, for whatever reason, the mojo they have against Arkansas, if they had that against other teams, they'd be so much better. So I'm really going with the mojo, just the fact that A&M, most times they play Arkansas, find a way to win.
Yeah, and I went with Arkansas because this game seems every year it's a coin toss, because it doesn't matter what the records were. It doesn't matter who was ranked where. It doesn't matter what time of the day the game is played. That game is always going to come down to the wire. It's always going to be one interception, one Damani Richardson touchdown, fumble, recovery, run away from whoever's going to win that game. And so I think it's a coin toss. I could see either team winning. I think it's going to be a 1-score game. I just think LSU's coming into this game with a little bit more momentum with the way that, Arkansas is coming into this game with a little bit more momentum with how they played at LSU. Yes, it was a loss, and A&M beat Auburn convincingly, but A&M stopped and started and sputtered through that game at times, and Auburn is going to be one of the worst teams in the West this year. LSU has proven that it might be the class of the West, and Arkansas gave them everything they can handle. I just like that little bit of more momentum, and A&M's defense is unproven. That's why I went with Arkansas.
And one more thing, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the Bobby Petrino factor.
Yes.
You talk about emotion. You can see Sam Pittman, if you go online, everybody likes to do it. If you're Aggie fans, you've probably seen Pittman's 2 press conferences, one Monday, one Wednesday. You can tell that's a touchy subject just because Petrino was at Arkansas. There's many Razorback fans wish he was still there. So, that's in Pittman's closet, so this is a personal game for him. This is a personal game for Pittman. So you look at all that emotion too, and Jimbo. I mean, a lot of people, I'm walking my dog the other night, guys stop saying this is the most important game of the year. This might be the most important game of Jimbo's. It's always coach speak, but it is the next game. This is a huge game. And talking about Johnson, you come in, your first 3 games as A&M starter for good is going to be against Arkansas, Alabama, and Tennessee.
Mm-hmm. You got to look at this too. I know everyone talks about, this game will get out of Jerry World in 2 years. In 2 years, there's no guarantee that they're going to play this game every year.
Correct.
Because of it, they could not be if they do the 8-3. Or is it 9-3? I can't. Math's hard.
6-3. Is that right? We don't know.
Whatever it is. If they have the 3 permanent opponents,
6 rotate. Yeah.
Arkansas wasn't in that pod from the first preliminary things that leaked out. It might be an every 4-year thing. So you got to savor. This is a fun one. I know there's some people on sides that'll call this a rivalry or won't call it a rivalry, and with how the record has been, A&M winning so many games. But man, the intensity comes out in this game every year, and you think about all the memorable plays that come out of this game. You gotta savor this the last 2 years, just in case it's not around every year.
Yeah, because old folks remember when they were in the Southwest Conference, so it means a lot to a lot of people. Just think the people we mentioned that it means something to. Then the other people, and you go back to the, guys like R.C. Slugman going to say they got screwed out of the game here when the Arkansas graduate, the back judge made a pass interference call on Horton, or A&M wins the game, and I think it was 86 or 80. People remember that, and that's what you like about a rivalry.
Yeah, and you know what I like about this game? The spread in the press box. It's good food up there.
And you get to see the Cotton Bowl folks.
Yes.
You get to see some folks you don't see, and I'm a fan. I'm not a big fan of neutral sites, but boy, if you're going to have a neutral site, the Cotton Bowl people and AT&T is the place to be.
Yes, it is. Hey, everybody. If you're watching this on video, thanks for watching. If you're listening to this on the My Aggie Nation podcast, we always have the special treat when it comes around. It's the great Bob Holt of the Arkansas Democrat Gazette. I talked with him a little bit earlier this week about the Arkansas side of things, so stay tuned for that next.